Hi all, welcome you all to the lecture video session on ancillary industrial unit, tiny industrial unit and the advantages of it. So what are the ancillary industrial unit? Ancillary industrial units are also the small scale industrial units, and the features of the SSI unit and there is these are the two typical category of ancillary the SSI industries. So why the SSI industry is called as ancillary industrial unit is that it engages in the manufacturing of parts, accessories, outsourced components, sub-assemblies, tooling, etc. So if we see the pic here, if you see the image here, all kind of industries which are all the big industries like HAL, BEML, BHEL and the ITI and all these industries which are all the big industries give the auto components or the components of those industries manufacturing to the subsectors, and those subsectors which supply the parts or components to the main industries are normally the small scale industries. So these type of small scale industries which engages in the manufacturing of parts, accessories, components, sub assemblies, toolings, etc., which supplies the 50% of its production to the other industries, and is called as normally the ancillary unit. If it is a manufacturing industry and if it supplies 50% of its production to other industries, then it is called as an ancillary unit. And if it is a service sector, then the class to call SSI sector as the ancillary unit is that it must supply 50% of the service volumes to other organization. So if it is a manufacturing industry, then if it supplies 50% of its manufactured goods to other organization, then it is called as an ancillary unit, which is which comes under the manufacturing sector. So what is a tiny industrial unit? Tiny industrial unit is also a SSI unit, but the definition for the tiny industrial unit says is based on the investment. If the investment in the plant and machinery are limited to 25 lakhs, then irrespective of wherever the unit is located, then it is called as the tiny industrial unit. Normally, the tiny industrial unit accommodates the bakeries, photo shops, xerox shops, laundry, garages, and all these are going to come under tiny industrial units. So what are the advantages of tiny industrial units? There are many advantages of tiny industrial units. It is that tiny industrial units uses the localized localized resources. They use the localized human resource as well as the materials for the manufacturing or to run the unit, and the risk involved is very less. So many people are interested to open up this kind of tiny units, and the capital requirement is also not huge. It is limited, and the production of the goods is as per the customer choice, and the exports, if the bakery is very good and if the bakery products are very popular, then it attracts the export. So that is, it goes with the foreign exchange. With the emerging e-portal sectors, that is the e-commerce sectors, then it is possible for every tiny unit to make it up to onto a global market. So the foreign exchange can be earned by the tiny units as well. So with the development of the tiny units, the regional development will also be seen, and the number of entrepreneurs will be increased, where thereby the employment generation will also increase. Now with this we are going to see what is the institutional support that the business enterprises will get. So before that we will see that whether the advantages of the tiny units is passed on to the ancillary units also. Yes, that the advantages of the ancillary unit is that if there is a huge unit, like if it is a big unit or if it is a large industry, this can give the components as the outsourced partner, wherein the risk involved in production in the large unit itself is reduced, as well as it is going to develop the ancillary units around the large unit. For example, there were many units that were developed. There are many units that are supplying the parts to like HAL. There are many units in and around Bangalore and other places which supplies the parts to BHEL, BEML, BEL, and ITI as well. And during the Philips and other illumination units also made the clusters of So HMT and ITI, all these units develop the ancillary units for their products, and then many employment generation happen. So with this we come to the end of the ancillary unit and then the tiny unit, and we also discussed about the advantages of all these type of SSI sector. And see you all in the next lecture video session on institutional support to the small scale industries. See you all. Thank you very much for being the part of this lecture video session.